Pro. Okay, now you should be able to hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me now. Okay. Are we good now? Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Callie says we can hear now. Whew. Well, I'm glad I didn't go into the class. That would be kind of embarrassing, right? Okay. So what I said when you couldn't hear me is definitely drop a link or drop a comment real quick. Tell me your name, where you're coming from, and what's something that you want to get out of this class today. Daniela says, yes, she can hear. Fantastic. Logan's here, can hear also. Okay, sweet. Well, I'll go ahead and get started, and I'm going to read your comments as they come in because I want to make sure that we're hitting the topics that you guys are looking for. So if this is your first time coming to a Resilient Realtor class, my name is Kristi Jencks. I am your coach for the next hour. And today we're specifically talking about getting your marketing in order. Okay. Getting your marketing order means I'm going to teach you how to get it from point A to point B. And I'm even going to give you guys some ideas. So that way you guys can, from this class, go right in. Shannon Rendell is in here looking for content to get booked out. Okay, so she's looking for some content ideas. We'll cover a little bit of that. We're going to go into a lot of different parts. I'm only going to touch a little bit on that, Shannon. But I think I'm doing another class on content as well. And then Callie from Metro Atlanta says, I want to be more diligent about having a marketing calendar. Okay, well, then you're in the right class. So as you guys know, I am here in the Phoenix metro area. I live in Gilbert with my family, and I have a team here in the Phoenix metro area. We are always looking to recruit to our team. So if you know somebody in Arizona that would love to join a real estate team, they can learn more about that. You guys can get your resources from today's class at bighelpertraining.com. You're not going to need them for the class, but afterwards, go ahead and jump over to bighelpertraining.com and download the resources. So let's go ahead and jump in. So when I'm working with a lot of agents, one of the things that I find is that they don't know where they're going, okay? They legitimately have no idea. Some people come to me and say, I want to make $100,000 in real estate. And I'm like, okay, cool. How are we going to do that, right? Because you can make way more than $100,000. But they, it's this top thing right here. It's like, okay, I'm a real estate agent and I'm going to do some of this and I'm going to do a little bit of that. I'm going to be like, hey, ho, right? Now I'm going into an office quote. If you know, right? I'm going to, all over the place, and they eventually can make $100,000. The problem is they were all over the place. They wasted money, they wasted time, they wasted energy. When we start with a plan, okay, we actually have to start with a plan and know where we're going. I want to go to X, or I want to achieve X by Y. We can get there a lot easier. And that's my goal for you guys today. Is I don't want you to be into second quarter, third quarter and being like, am I going to hit my goals? I don't know. Am I on target? Am I not on target? Right? The things that I'm going to share with you today are going to help you know where you're going so that you can continually adjust. Okay. I mean, I am, when people say, how old are you? I am old enough to not have had MapQuest. I'm old enough where we actually had a book that was a map, and we would use a grid and go through. Okay, that's how old I am. But the story is, you would never go to a destination that you had never been before. And if you're Kelsey's age, she would print out the MapQuest. I would go into my Rand McNally map and kind of look where I'm at, right? You would never drive into a new city that you've never been and not have Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever mapping system you're using. So that's where we're going to start. The agenda goes as follows. We're going to look at your plan. If you don't have a plan, that's where you're going to start. We're going to look at your plan. Then we're going to get creative. Then we're going to learn how to execute, because ideas are nothing, right? Without execution, you got to execute. Then we're going to look at how to evaluate and move forward. So all of that in, the next 50 minutes. And I hope to have some time for some Q&A as well. So let's jump in. This is probably the least fun part, guys. This is not the fun part of creating a marketing calendar, but this is saving you time, money, energy, and effort, right? So you're not all over the map like you saw in that last image. So from your business plan, you should already know these things, guys. It is what, January 21st? We should have this in place already. If you don't, I still love you. Let's get it together, okay? I have a class on business planning. You can go back to the YouTube channel and watch that and download the resources. So what do you need to know from your business plan in order to have a great marketing plan? Well, one, you need to know what your lead sources are, okay? A lot of you guys are going to say, but Kristi, all of my business comes by repeat and referral. And I'm going to say, awesome. And what other lead sources are you going to have, right? Because that is a very unstable, unpredictable business to only have one lead pillar. I want you to have multiple lead pillars, probably at least 4 lead pillars. We talk about, the core 4 lead pillars that you should be looking at. Past client and your sphere of influence, for sure. Online leads, whether it be realtor.com, Google, Facebook, Instagram, some form of online lead generation, and probably a farm, a geographic farm, starting one, a demographic farm. And I would also say open houses, right? You could put in expireds for sale by owners. There's a lot of different lead pillars, non-owner occupieds. It doesn't matter what you choose, because I believe that there's no wrong way to get a lead. You just have to have multiple lead pillars. Okay, so 1, what are the lead sources? And then 2, how many units am I projecting from each lead source, right? So if I want to close 30 units, it depends on your average price point too, right? So if I want to close 30 units, how many of these are coming from open houses? How many are going to be coming from my past client, my sphere of influence? How many are coming from agent to agent referrals? Where am I from, guys? You guys remember, I'm your Gilbert gal, right? So we need to know how many units you're projecting, because that's going to change the frequency and the message of our content. Then I'm going to take you guys through an exercise that I think is really important when you're planning your marketing, and that is figuring out how many leads do you need per source based on your conversion. Because we want to, success leaves clues. I want you guys to do more of the things that are working, right? And then we're going to talk a little bit about prospecting versus marketing, because a lot of people get mistaken by that. We're talking about marketing today, but we can't neglect prospecting. They do work hand in hand. So it all starts with your business plan. As I mentioned, I've got a class on business planning. This is a functional business plan. I know many of you guys have done this with me in the past. This is going to help you figure out if your goals are in line with your actions and if it's all going to work out. I'm just going to move forward with some numbers that I'm going to share with you guys. We're not going to business plan today. So once we've identified the lead sources, we have to start, as much as I want to go right into content creation, what it really does is we got to take a step back and say, okay, so here's an example of how we're going to start mapping out our thoughts and our planning to put together a marketing calendar per content, right? Because a marketing calendar isn't just social, right? That's a part of it. You should have a social calendar for sure. A social content calendar. In fact, I would say I heard on the Tom Ferry podcast that he just did recently, Glenda Baker was on it with Zachary Faust and the mortgage guy, or that mortgage guy. I can't remember his name, but he's that mortgage guy on TikTok. And Glenda said something. She said, I used to make an hour of calls, and now I, make an hour of content and an hour of touching back to all the people that she's, met through social media. This is taking that time and thinking about the content and what am I going to do? So in the example that I have here on the slide, we're talking about a geographic farm. So a geographic farm would be 1 lead pillar. Past clients and sphere of influence would be 1 lead pillar. Open houses would be a lead pillar. Expires would be a lead pillar. And each of these are going to have their own marketing plan, all of which comes together to create your overall business marketing plan, right? I know it sounds overwhelming, but we're going to make it easy. So in this one, the first thing I want to talk about is the marketing part, right? What's the difference between marketing? And actually, you guys answer in the Facebook comments. What's the difference between marketing and prospecting, in your guys' opinion, right? Lead generation and marketing. What's the difference between them? You guys comment in the sections and let me know. That way I know you guys are at least here. Logan's coming in from Draper and wants to know about how to streamline content creation and marketing calendar. Okay, we're going to talk about that in the next little section under creation. So marketing is the advertising that we use to create awareness and consideration, right? Marketing is where we put something out there and we wait for someone to raise their hand and say, hey, I am interested in that. Prospecting is where we are in control and it's outbound searching for leads, right? Whether we're outbound calling, we're outbound open housing, we're outbound door knocking, network, there's a lot of different ways, but it's basically what I'm in control of. And a lot of times it's just two-way conversations that are engaged by us. Right? So in a geographic farm, some of the marketing that we could have, and if you have a geographic farm and are doing something different, drop it in here because I'd love to hear what you're doing. So some of the things you can do is email, right? So an email newsletter. That would also be appropriate for your sphere of influence and everybody else that you would have in your CRM. You got to figure out how to get those email addresses, and you've got to create content to collect email addresses, right? Because you can say, I'm going to email my farm, and then you realize you don't have any email addresses. So that's something to think about in the planning section. Google Display Network. I love Google Display Network for Geographic Farm. It's pretty inexpensive and it's more of a branding play, but it's where the people start to say, wow, I just see you everywhere. Mailers, postcards. I'm a big fan of Every Door Direct Mail. It makes postcards super, super simple to get out and very inexpensive. We use Canva with our Every Door Direct Mail. So we design all of our postcards in Canva and then print and then take to the post office. There are other programs out there though, like CoreFact. They do everything for you. You just go in, do a couple clicks, and they send it out and design it, all of that, print it, everything. I've coached several people that have had signage, billboards. One of my good friends, Katie Fear, on the west side, if you go to the grocery store, she's on the little conveyor belt separator. YouTube is a huge one, something that I definitely will see a lot more agents doing in the coming years. And this year specifically, being able to do market updates specifically into an area that you're looking for, only because Google and YouTube, well, YouTube is owned by Google, but they don't have the restrictions that we now have in Facebook. So you're going to get some more flexibility. Of course, there's also podcasts, radios, lots of that. So you kind of see marketing is all of that content that we're putting out, whether it's a postcard, an email, social media is not, we didn't say organic social, yep, and paid social media. Both of them are in there. Then you've got the networking plan, because a lot of these lead pillars also require networking. So, are you part of the PTO? Are you active in the HOA? Because we're still talking about a geographic farm, right? Do you belong to a bunco club, a book club? Like, what can you do to get to know people in your farm and be engaged in there? So that's the networking, socializing to foster relationships within that area. Then, of course, the prospecting inside your farm for sale by owners, expireds, circle dialing around, just listed, just sold open houses, obviously door knocking and open houses. All of this leads to generating leads, which then you're going to follow up and convert through your CRM. Okay. So I want to take you now into one of the resources to help you get an understanding of the numbers. Okay. So we're going to jump into one of the resources here. So that way I can show you what this actually looks like. Okay. So one of the first things I like to do with my coaching clients after we have determined how much money do I want to make, right? We've already determined that. And we've determined the lead sources. From there, we move into figuring out how many leads or referrals or opportunities do they need. Okay. This is a really important part, because this is going to determine how many touches and how much money I'm going to be spending in different areas. So I'm just going to give you guys some basic numbers, taking it from one of my coaching clients. So the first lead pillar that we don't want to neglect is our sphere of influence and our past clients. So if I want to close, say, 10 units from my sphere and from my past clients, how many leads or referrals do I need? Now I'm curious, drop a comment in here. How many referrals or leads would you need from a past client or someone from your sphere? Meaning someone from your sphere says, hey, here's my cousin. I'd like you to help them buy or sell. Or someone from your sphere says, hey, I'm finally ready, Kristi. Come help me. Or a past client says, hey, we do want to sell and we want to buy, or we just want to sell. Or here's my cousin that wants to sell, right? How many, if you want to close 10, how many leads or opportunities do you think you need from that source? I see there's people on here, so you guys drop a number in for me. 20. Okay, so someone says you basically are going to need 2 out of 1. Guess what? First person on the block that put a number out, you're absolutely right, in my opinion. 50. That could also be right. 50, 20. Okay, so essentially what we're saying, 35, a lot of you guys are agreeing that it's somewhere around 2 to 1, 3 to 1. Right? Somewhere between 2 to 3 times the number that we're going to need. And here's why, right? That's actually some simple math. I could refer you my cousin, right? I could say, hey, Holly, you're in Pittsburgh, Chamberlain, Pittsburgh, and my cousin wants to buy a property. And Holly's like, hey, Kristi, thank you so much. And then all of a sudden she goes and she's helping my cousin, and my cousin doesn't have the credit, right? So it was a solid referral, but that person couldn't buy, right? They changed their mind, something happens. The point is, it's not 1 for 1, right? I'm probably going to have to get 20 to 30. And if I'm a really new agent and all of my friends know that I've never sold a home, it might be a 5 to 1, right? It might be because I haven't earned the trust and the respect of my peer group to get them into a home and to trust me. So the moral of the story is this is that conversion number, right? I put it at a 3, somewhere between 2 and 5. 5 only if you're a really, really new agent and you're kind of on your own. So what that means essentially is that Shannon, if she wants to close 10 units and she's at a 3 to 1, she needs to be generating 3 opportunities every single month from that lead source, right? Where someone either raises their hand for themselves or raises their hand to give you somebody else. This brings up the elephant in the room is, are you tracking this, right? Are you tracking the referrals and the leads? If the answer is no, then you need to get started on that, because it's January 21st. Tell me, how many referrals have you guys received or opportunities from this lead source already this month, right? How many people have raised their hands? I know that I've already received 3 agent referrals this month because I track it, right? And that's probably, I'll just go that to my next source, right? All of you guys should have, in my opinion, should have a lead source of agent to agent. Doesn't need to be your number 1 lead source, but this is an example of networking with other agents, agents from your brokerage, agents from your coaching, environment that you're in. A lot of you guys are with Tom Ferry Coaching. And so, you're part of that group. And that's just an amazing opportunity to connect with other agents, right? I'm here in Arizona. We have so many people moving from California. And just this morning, I got a text from a California agent in San Diego. Hey, my client's moving there. Can you help them, right? It's a great part of your business. In my opinion, it functions very much like a sphere referral, right? So I'll put it at a 3 to 1. Tell me if you agree. Agent to agent referrals, they are typically warmer, right? Meaning it's not a cold lead. It's somebody that the agent's working with. So when they refer them over, you have a really good opportunity. I'm actually going to put it at a 2. You have a really good opportunity to convert that lead. Now, if you immediately say, oh, no, I would say make sure that you're vetting the agents that you're referring, right? Like that's really important. When I'm handing a referral off to another agent, I am calling that agent, what's that going to look like? How are you going to help them? You'll have a much higher success level when you're handing off a referral if you've actually spoken to the other agent and you understand how to run their business, because then I'm able to say, hey, Shannon, I'm sending Holly over to you, and Holly is looking for X, Y, and Z. This is her communication style. This is what it looks like. So moral of the story is, if I want to close 5 agent to agent deals, I'm probably going to need to be generating at least 1 opportunity a month within that lead pillar to keep the business moving forward. So outbound or inbound referrals. Let's just pick open houses, right? So if part of your plan consists of open houses and you want to close, 5 deals from open houses, chime in, you guys. How many open house leads, not people through your open house, because you can get 20 people through your open house and maybe you only get 5 good leads. How many leads do you need per closing from an open house? What's your conversion rate? Or what's a good conversion rate? Is it 5 to 1, 10 to 1? How are you guys converting at open houses? And some of you guys haven't been able to do open houses, but they're coming back depending on your state. I've got such a shy group today. Come on, chime in. 5 to 1, says Holly. I actually agree with Holly from Pennsylvania. Anybody else? Facebook user, 5 to 1. I think that's a really, really solid number. Meaning that, again, I do an open house. Hey, it's the popular number. So I do an open house. I maybe get, 10 people through, 5 people through. I'm going to convert 1 person into a seller or a buyer opportunity, 1 out of every 5, right? And that you can get that even better, right? Like, the more open houses you do, the better you get, the more scripts you have and dialogues, the more you understand your value proposition. The moral of the story is know your number, right? Marketing is math. Real estate is math. It's a numbers game. And the more you understand the mechanics of your business, the more you can tweak and move the levers to help you get to your end result. So that's another example. That means that if I want to close 5 units from open houses, that I need to generate 25 leads, right? Which means I may actually have to have 50 to 60 to 70 people come through my open house, right? To get 25 people. And then that means I need at least 2 a month, right? So if this is in your plan for January and you haven't done an open house because it's snowing, so maybe you're going to do more in the spring and summer, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, now it's January 21st. Have I generated 2 leads from open houses yet? Have I generated 1 agent to agent referral? Have I had 3 opportunities? Now I know how to spend my time. So I'm not going to go through all the different lead sources. If you have questions about a specific lead source, shoot me a message or put it in the comments and I'll kind of pick that up. I will say a couple lead sources you need to be aware of, social media in general. Now there's obviously 2 different kinds of social media, but if like Facebook leads, Instagram leads, those are going to convert at 1%, right? So that's 1 out of 100. And you're not actually going to talk to 100 people. You're going to have 100 leads come in. You may talk to, 25% of them, a third of them, but you're not going to actually talk to 100 of them, and they're going to convert at 1%. There's a lot of research behind that. Social media that's coming from your sphere, obviously that's going to convert at a much higher level. So if social is part of your plan, cold social leads, it's a much higher conversion. And I would say it's like the old version. If you're creating content and really connecting with your audience, then your conversion rate will be much better. Online leads are going to be somewhere between, like, if it's a Google pay-per-click lead, you probably need 1 out of 30, right? 1 out of 30 Google pay-per-click leads is going to convert. You're going to actually be nurturing quite a few of those because Google tends to come in 3, 6, 8, 12 months out, right? Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, those people are coming in at the very bottom of the funnel. They convert at 10%, right? So the top teams across the nation are converting Realtor.com, Trulia, and Zillow at a minimum of 10%. So 1 out of 10 people are working with you if you're using one of those lead sources. And you can even fine tune that to get that up. Door knocking really is skill dependent. So that's a great, someone asked, well, what about door knocking? So if you've got a good script and you've got a good strategy, you're going to have a higher conversion. Why? Because it puts you in a face-to-face element. The whole strategy behind door knocking is, figuring out if they are a good candidate for a home equity update. Have they had any thoughts of moving? Maybe they're renting and they're going to buy, but a lot of times you'll find homeowners, right? So your conversion rate might be 1 out of 15. The best way to know is door knock for a quarter and figure out how many people did I talk to, how many people did I add to my CRM, and how many, because adding someone to your CRM is a lead. Talking to someone is a contact. So you may have to talk to 100 people to add one person to the database, right? You may have to add 10 people to the database to get one person to list with you, right? So, this is something, as you can see, we're going to go through with my coaching clients. I'm going to go through and I'm going to track. We're going to say, okay, so in January, how many leads did we generate? And we'll go back to their CRM. So this is where we get the information, because that's another question I'll get is like, well, where do I get this information? Where do you keep your leads? Ideally in your CRM. I just go back and I pull the report for January, show me all the leads that came in from January. The only time that might not show if it's a past client, because they're already in there as closed, and then now they're going to be moved to active, and you'd make a note of that. So we are going to evaluate this to make sure that I'm generating the leads. And let's say that I did get my open houses done, but I didn't get any leads. Now I've got what? Probably a script problem, some sort of a conversion issue. And I can go back to my mastermind, my accountability group, my coach, and I can say, you know what? I did 5 open houses. I generated 2 leads, but I didn't get any business, and we can rework it. Okay. So let me go back to the slides and you guys will go through that. And I'm always, willing to look at stuff that you guys have. You can always just reach out to me to bounce an idea off. So that's the boring part of this. But it's very necessary. If you try to skip that, you're just going to be blowing money on marketing because you just don't have a clear path and you're not using a compass to get to where you want to go. So when it comes to a marketing calendar and content creation in general, the first thing that I really recommend is that you get yourself in a state of excitement, right? Be in a place where inspiration can show up. And this starts with consuming some content, okay? Not just like mindlessly scrolling through social media, but actually saying, okay, I'm going to go find, 3 people outside of real estate, because most of you guys are here from real estate, right? I'm going to find somebody from the health industry. I'm going to find somebody from maybe direct sales, right? So someone who's selling something, direct sales, right? And I'm going to find maybe a mortgage person. I'm going to find a title person. I would say out of the industry as well. So somebody in advertising or something like that. Find some people that you really resonate with and consume some of their content to get excited, right? That means that wherever you want to be. So if you really want to have a presence on Instagram, then you're going to consume some Instagram content. If it's on TikTok, then you're going to consume it on TikTok. You need to get excited and you need to get some inspiration. Now, I will also say you need to have a strategy on how to capture that inspiration. One thing that I like to do is I will actually send myself the content either in an email or I'll direct message it to myself. So if you didn't know this, you can actually direct message yourself. So I'll direct message it to myself. I don't love that though, because sometimes I'll forget to go back. So most of the time I will email it to myself. So if I saw, something that Katie Day in Texas did that I really like, I'll send it to myself. and then I'll put my notes on how I want to spin it. Or let's say I follow a makeup lady and I see that she took a trending sound and I really like what she did. I'm going to send it to myself with an idea of how I want to spin it. So a lot of times I am at the point of inspiration. I'm saving the content and I'm sending it to myself so I don't forget. I also use folders too. So if I find something and I'm like, that's cool, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with it, I'll drop it into a folder so that I can come back to it. And then I tend to consume around the same time daily. For just like 10 minutes or so is my consumption of the content that I'm looking to get excited and get inspired by. And, you got to figure out what that is. If you're a morning person, do it in the morning. If you're a night person, do it at night. And then you want to actually take some time and do a full on brain dump and planning session. Okay. And I say this per lead pillar. So whether you're here because you want to talk about content creation and social marketing calendars and things like that, then you're going to do a brain dump on everything that you want to do by lead source or pillar. And we're going to talk more about social pillars as well. So for my farm, what's everything I want to do for my farm? For my sphere of influence and my past clients, what are all the things that I want to do? And this is the part where you can just like lay it all out. Don't be like, well, how am I going to do that? And don't get into that. Just be excited and put it all out there. Then when you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, how many touches? Let's talk about sphere of influence. How many times do I want to touch my sphere of influence? And what are the ways that we're going to touch them? By the way, I have a class on the Resilient Realtor YouTube page that you can go back and watch that I've done before on how to systematically touch your past clients in your sphere of influence over 65 times in a year. Super, super simple, right? So I'm going to look at it in general for the whole year. So if it was my farm, how many postcards am I going to send in 2022, right? How many open houses am I going to do, right? And then how many times am I going to post in the Facebook group, things like that. Once we have a broad year-long plan, we go into the detailed quarterly plan. And I'll tell you guys, this is what separates really strong agents. Like when you look at an agent's business and you think, man, they just have it all together. No, they're probably just a little bit more planned than you are. My coach, before we could start a geographic farm, my coach said, you have to have all of the next quarter planned out. And I had to show it to her before I could launch my farm. And I was so glad that she made me do that, because there's been times, don't tell her, there's been times where I just got busy and I didn't plan. So I'm not perfect, but we do really hard. We do now, like we have our marketing plan together, but last year things just got crazy. We got behind. And then the next thing you know, it's like, crap, I'm supposed to be sending out a mailer in the next 2 weeks. I don't even have it designed. I don't know what my messaging is. I don't know what my call to action is. And I've got 2 clients coming in from out of state and and 4 listing appointments. And now all of a sudden that mailer is not going out, right? So planning a quarter in advance is very helpful, right? And I will also say that, don't worry about the how right now, because that's in the execute part. Worry about who, right? If this is overwhelming to you and you've already like mentally checked out, I would tell you that there's probably a who, meaning a person out there that would love to do this for you. And that comes in all sides of all sorts of budgets, from virtual to intern to a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad or a high schooler or, your sister. There's a lot of people out there that would like to take this off your plate. And I know that you could find it within your budget. The other thing I would say is as you're building these plans and getting your ideas together, make it easy for yourself, right? Like, don't start out with, I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to launch a YouTube show and I'm going to take on short form video, right? Like, and I'm going to do a geographic farm and I'm going to start calling expireds and, right? Don't do that. Okay. If you've never executed on a marketing plan, just start with one thing, right? Hire an assistant. Absolutely. Like, for sure. That's why I said, like, this stuff is on the next slide. This is not the highest and best use of your time to execute all of this. The planning part, it needs to have your voice, right? So that's why I said, you got to get excited, you got to create, you got to figure out what it is that you want. And then we're going to worry about who's going to help us do these things, right? I will also say that Etsy is one of my like go-to sites. So one of my secrets is that I just go onto Etsy and I say like real estate content calendar, listing presentation for real estate agents, social media posts for real estate agents. Oh my gosh, there are beautiful people out there that have created. This is an example. This person and the link to her store on Etsy. I don't get paid. I don't even know this person. I just think that she's such an amazing person that for $9, I can purchase a year of calendars. For $6, she'll give me a post for every single day. I mean, it's just genius, right? Especially because this is not my forte. So Etsy is one of my best friends. Make it easy for yourself. If you are creative, awesome. Lean into your creativity. If you're not creative, then go to Etsy and just buy some ideas. So I love this. This is February, right? So one of the first things she's like, okay, we've got the Super Bowl. So obviously if you like football, do we even know who's playing in the Super Bowl? I have no idea, guys. I watch basketball. But she's got some themes and some ideas. This is a great just kind of memory jogger. And I'll tell you that I didn't even know about Random Acts of Kindness Day until I saw this. And I was like, oh man. And we came up with a great idea for our farm in February, just from this idea generation. It's not that I have to follow it, every single day, but it gives me some ideas. And I do love that, right? Make your life easier. Hire an assistant for sure. Find someone to help you. So I think Logan said he wanted to learn about streamlining content. So here's one of the things that I do when it comes to online content that I find very, very helpful. One, we first go in and we look at the calendar and say, okay, what's going on in that month? And we do plan in advance, right? Like, I'm not a big fan of ad hoc just posting. There's some things that you should post, like stories. A lot of times stories are in the moments and, going, but posts can be scheduled. Long form video can be scheduled. Stories can actually be scheduled too. The only thing that you can't schedule when it comes to social media is short form video reels, but that you can just create those in draft mode, have them all written up and then be able to post. So the first thing we're going to look at is holidays, right? What holidays do I celebrate? What holidays are coming up? And so like in February, obviously we've got Valentine's Day, we've got President's Day, Random Acts of Kindness Day, and apparently February 9th is National Pizza Day. I could probably do something in my farm and with my sphere for National Pizza Day. Maybe it's in my budget. I could give away some pizzas. There's an idea, like going right into my next, pillar, my sphere and my farm, and of course social media. So I would go on to Canva right away and just they've already got tons of Instagram and Facebook posts ready to go for these weird holidays and for the big holidays. Change out the colors, put your logo on it, right? Like that's, you know what I mean? It's so much easier. Yeah, Jill, I think Kelsey puts the slides in the resources too. Yes. So yes, Jill, the slides to the presentation are in the resources. And I'll see you in Vegas, sister, hopefully. Okay, so the next thing that I do is I look at my life, right? So if you follow me on social, and if you don't, please do. I'd love to connect and be inspired by you. I do make fun of real estate agents a lot. So only because I love you guys and someone's got to be here to call you out on your crap, right? So just please don't be offended and just know that it's all, I just want to make a better agent and I call it as it is. So if you follow me, you'll know that my daughter just had a birthday. If you follow me, you'll see a couple other things that will pull up. So the next thing is I pull from business and I pull from life, right? So I've got my daughter's birthday coming up, but she just had a birthday. And then what closings do I have? What listings are we launching, right? That's an easy place to get content from is it an anniversary? Is it a birthday? And what do we got going on in our business that we're going to be moving forward? Okay. Outside of those date specific things, then I will tell you that if your pages, your content is all real estate, people are just they're going to drop out. They really, really are. Like, nobody wants to be there for just real estate. You've got to show them the real you. And we've talked about this in my Reels class as well, about, picking some other areas of your life. So some of the pillars that you would get to know me a little bit better is, one, you're going to know that I sell real estate and that I coach for Tom Ferry, right? Those are a big part of my life. And it's just one aspect of the messaging that goes out. I didn't put on here self-improvement, but that probably falls within coaching. The next thing you're going to see is my crazy family, right? So Saturday, you're going to see me at football games. You're going to see me at basketball games. I'm going to brag on my kids because they're just fun and they're great athletes. I also make fun of my kids when they do stupid things like put forks in the couch and stuff like that. So you're going to see my dogs. I like one dog more than the other, but you're going to see that about me. I like roller skating and I love paddleboarding when the weather is appropriate. So those are kind of some of the themes that you'll see. Real estate is just infused in there. I had someone ask me like a week ago, how much real estate should I be talking about and how much, just other things? And I'm like, yeah, like you should be talking about other things. Think of the people that you like to follow on social media. They're probably not just asking for your business every single moment. They're inspiring you. They're making you laugh. And they're educating you along the way. So make sure that your personality is coming out. Use these pillars. The best thing that I've heard in 2021 was from Christoph Chu. He spoke at the Tom Ferry Success Summit. And one of the things he said is that in all of the content that he puts out, he just wants people to remember a couple things. One, his name is Christoph Chu. Two, he's located in Beverly Hills. Three, he sells real estate. And four, luxury, right? So, and all the content that he's putting out, he just wants you to remember those four things, right? And that makes a lot of sense to me. Build your content around that. So those are just a couple ideas around content creation. We're not going to spend a ton of more time there. I can always do a follow-up class where we just spin ideas, and that would be super fun. Maybe we do that on Zoom so it can be interactive. So the next part of getting your marketing plan together is the execution part. And honestly, like, ideas are great, but without execution, it's nothing, right? You have to be able to execute on this. So the first point is your highest and best use of time, right? What is your HBUT? I'm telling you right now, it's not this. Content creation is very important and it should be in your calendar. But the execution and distribution of it is not your highest and best use of your time, right? The highest and best use of your time is setting appointments, going on appointments, negotiating contract, and closing deals. That should be 70% of your time. Income generating activities, which means that you really do need to find a who for your how. It's one of the books. I've got a book review coming out in February on the book Who Not How. It's just a great book that talks about why we procrastinate and why we get stuck on goals. And it's because we're trying to do everything ourselves. So really find the who's that can help you. Now, again, I will tell you, I'm not perfect by any means, but I've already shot all of my long form video and all of my husband's short form and long form video for February and March. Okay. So February and March is already shot. It's in editing. Don't try to shoot your content and edit it and get it out the same month that you're doing, right? Like, you want to do this in advance, at least a month in advance. And that goes for your farm as well, right? Remember I said my coach said, have your mailers ready to go a quarter in advance. And I'm like, yeah, that's smart. She knows what she's talking about, because I'm going to be so busy going on appointments, right? Which is the highest and best use of my time, that I'm not going to have time to stop, design, print, deliver a postcard, right? So you want to stay ahead. Try to stay at least a month, a quarter if you can ahead. And then I do use a lot of tools when it comes to social. And that's my favorite tools are YouTube Studio, Creator Studio, and Facebook Business Suite. There are other tools that you can use, but those are my three. They're free and they really do well with video and other carousel type posts and things like that. And they just live within the Facebook tools, both Creator Studio and Facebook Business Suite. And because they live within there, they communicate from, account to account, right? Which is really, really helpful. Now, if you're super excited, I'm excited for you too, but don't overcommit, right? If you don't have a marketing plan yet, let's just pick one lead pillar. Pick your sphere of influence and your past clients because it's the most important one. And plan what you're going to do for February and March. Let's get the rest of quarter one in order so that you can execute at the highest level. If you try to launch a marketing plan for 4 or 5 different pillars, you're not going to execute very well because you don't have processes in place. So do not overcommit. And then one thing that I want to see in your schedule right away is start scheduling time for video. When I told you that my video is already done for February and March, that's because on Monday of this week, I shot everything for March. Everything that was shot for February was shot in the last week of December, right? I shoot my content and my videographer comes in and we batch shoot all of it. It's been the best way to stay consistent with video. So I can consistently get video out because I have it in my schedule. My short form video is the same way. Sometimes I shoot things on the fly. Like I did an experiment the other day where I shot 4 videos in 5 minutes and that was awesome, right? Sometimes I need more time to do that. But the main point is, guys, you're going to wish that you had started video 2 years ago. And if you start next year, you're going to wish that you had started. Just get started right now. Video definitely needs to be part of your plan. So all of this stuff creates projects, right? Like all of this creates projects. If I want to do pop buys for my farm, or not for my farm, for my sphere, well, that's a project right there. If I don't have a geographic farm and I want to launch a geographic farm, well, first thing I got to do is I got to determine, right? I've got to determine a geographic farm. That means I got to run the numbers. I've got to figure out what the turnover rate is, and that's a project, right? Then I've got to determine my budget. If I'm going to do mailers, how many mailers am I going to do? What's the frequency? Then I've got to decide the call to action and the postcard design and figure out, are we going to every door direct mail? Are we right? Like you can see where I'm going with this. Every time we launch a lead pillar, there's going to be some projects in here and new processes that need to be created. And that's why I say, don't overcommit. Just don't. Start with one and go more, right? It really, really needs to happen. So now we can go into planning, and I want to end this class kind of giving you some functional planning together. So here's an example of my January marketing plan. Okay. This is for my personal business, not for my team. So we did pop buys for everybody that moved into the neighborhood. We did a postcard. We did another postcard. All of our 2021 clients got their final settlement statement that was delivered via email. We did a video market update for both our farm and our past clients. Both of those have YouTube ads that are targeted, right? So I've got a couple things going on. This is an email that goes out to everybody. It's also on YouTube. It's also on social media, and I'm running an ad behind it as well, right? Birthday cards, that's going out via snail mail. We added something new this year where we're Glenda-fying clients. We just pick 5 clients and we do something super. Glenda doesn't even know this. I haven't even told her. I'll be funny. I'll tell her. But basically, we pick 5 clients and we're doing something just like a wow for them just out of nowhere, doing something really special for them. We're doing some pop buys for past clients. We bought a bunch of local barbecue sauce. We're giving that out and we're promoting local businesses. We're also doing that within our farm. So we're doing a contest where we're giving away some of this barbecue sauce that was made in our farm to our farm. And of course, I've got you guys. I'm here with you with my Resilient Realtor classes. If you didn't know, this is part of my marketing strategy. How do I meet other agents and network with them? I teach them really cool things online through Resilient Realtor, right? So you guys should have all got an email, and you guys are part of my group, part of my face. And now when you get a client that's moving to Arizona, you'll think of me, yay. Or if you're in Arizona and you want to join a team, you'll think of me, which also is part of my agent to agent, right? So I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Now, some of the things that we're tracking on here is the start date, the delivery date, when it's completed, and how much it's going to cost, how many people it's going out to, and what's our goal coming out of it. And then the results are tracked every single month. So this is important because we want to make sure that we're delivering on what we say we're going to do. So this is part of your resources. We'll jump back in. It's actually the same page we were on. So we'll jump into the resource page, and all we have to do now is start planning. And your lead sources are going to be right up here. So it's going to be pretty easy. But basically, let's start with, let's say that this is January, right? You could start for February, but essentially first, who is the audience? Okay. Well, my first audience is going to be my past clients and my sphere of influence. And what's the theme? What's the format? Well, one thing is you guys should be emailing at a minimum once a month. And I would love to see it in video. Someone asked the question, when should we hire a videographer or someone to film our videos? Logan, that's a really good question. I think it depends on how much business you're doing. One of the most useful tools is your cell phone. So you can shoot a lot of video from your cell phone. You've got to decide if that's your brand and if it's the highest and best use of your time. If you are in, I don't have it up. If you are in the early stages of your business where you've got like no money and no leads, you're shooting everything from your phone. You've got to get that top line revenue in, and how many units is that? I don't remember where you said you were at, Logan, but if you're at a lower price point, obviously you've got to sell more units, and it's a trade-off. Videographers can be very expensive. I've had a full-time videographer on staff for many years. I recently just switched to a freelancer that I schedule to come in, and it's very economical. So you can find a lot of options. It's going to be expensive, and I would practice video now with your cell phone. Get really good, get really comfortable. Short form is my favorite for entry-level access because so much of the editing is just done on your phone, and everybody's got a phone, right? Long form video does require an editor, does require, lighting, mics, different things like that. It can still be done on your own, but should you be spending hours editing? Absolutely not. Find someone on Fiverr, find someone on Upwork, something like that can edit those videos. Ultimately, even if you're shooting all of your own videos, you should have a freelance editor that can help you crank them out. So I would say when your budget can, when you can support it, if you do it too early, you'll regret it. Does that mean you don't do video? No, you just do short form video, right? And you do live and other types of content. There's a lot of incredible people out there that don't have videographers. So plan for it eventually, but for now, you know what I mean? And even some of the guys that I follow, like the mortgage broker, he's shooting a lot of stuff on his phone. And then some of the other stuff, they are getting editors out there. Now, obviously, if it's a listing video, hire a listing video person, right? Something like that. So do you mind sharing the schedule and marketing resources template via email? Tanya, I will have Kelsey look at this. And I think she's emailed you before, so she'll look through this. Logan is with me in Salt Lake Draper. He is our videographer and social media assistant. Perfect. So he's in the right spot. And he's probably got lots of tools for you guys to get these things in place. And he knows it's not the highest and best use of an agent's time as well. So, okay. So at a minimum, one thing that you guys are all going to be doing, right, is we're going to be doing an email market update to all of our clients, right? Like that's got to happen. And that should go out the first week, right? Here's the cool thing. There's also no money behind that. You know what I mean? Then we can take that content and use it a bunch of different ways. So we shoot the market update video. We then turn that into a social media graphic. And now I've got a post. I can turn it into a skippable YouTube ad. And now I've got another piece of content that's going out. I can break it down into multiple short videos, right? Like one piece of content can be used in multiple ways. We can create some quote cards from it, some other graphics, just utilizing the data that came out of it. So at a minimum, I believe that every agent should be doing a market update video so that you can turn it into other pieces of content throughout the rest of the month. And it's just a no-brainer. You definitely have to start planning for a market update. We're also using MailChimp, and MailChimp has an entry-level account that's free. So you can send a dynamic video email using a MailChimp template, and it looks great. There's no extra cost. So pretty much you can do all of that for zero cost. When you go into a video YouTube ad, well, now it's going to give you a little bit of a cost, but right. So for my past client in sphere of influence, I'm going to do that email. You're going to call. We've already addressed that. You're going to call your past clients in your sphere of influence for sure. You're also going to do some snail mail, right? So one of the things that you guys are going to do is you're going to do birthday cards, right? And home anniversary cards. And those are going to go out via snail mail. And just remember, like, there's a lot of tools that you can use for that too, right? I personally am not using like send out cards or any other services, but that's because I have an assistant, and my assistant takes she goes into my calendar, she gets all of my birthdays and home anniversaries, and she puts all the cards together with their addresses, hands me the cards, I write inside of them, hand them back, and she gets them out in the mail. If you're super busy and you don't have an assistant, you send out cards, right? That's a great option. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different ways, but at a minimum, you want to be doing some form of snail mail into your database, right? Email, snail mail, phone calls. If you're not using HomeBot's a phenomenal tool. That's one of my favorites for the past client in the sphere. Are you going to be doing a pop by, right? That's another one. So you can see just with my plan for January with my sphere. So let's just look at sphere. I had the market update video. I'm also doing a targeted ad, right? So they got the market update. Now they're probably seeing me on YouTube when they go on there because they're in my range, right? We sent out all of our birthday and home anniversary cards. We are also doing a pop by, but you can see it's only to 20 people, right? So this is going out to 450 people. I'm only doing 20 pop bys. I'm not overcommitting, right? And it's expensive, right? So you got to remember that you are planning when you're making these plans. Don't overcommit and get into a schedule and get into a system. So you would see that we're going to be doing pop bys every single month, but we're not trying to hit all of our clients. We've kind of segmented those. And by following this system, by the way, I picked up this grid from Betsy and Alan Thompson. They showed it to me when I was in Nashville with them, and I've just taken this grid, their inspiration of their grid for what they do for their past clients in their sphere. And they sold over 100 homes last year by repeat and referral only. I mean, they're absolutely amazing. You want to connect with them. And now I've just applied it to all of my lead pillars, and it's really, really helped shape my business. So go through the grid, fill it out, right? And figure out when you need to be doing these things. Like if I'm going to be doing birthday cards, when am I going to do that? Postcards, get it into your schedule. Next, after you go through the month, right, you're going to figure out, well, how much did I spend, right? As you saw on there was a budget. What was my budget? How much did I spend? And then we're going to track results. How many leads did I get? Okay. How many appointments did I set? And how many did I go on from each of these lead sources that have marketing dollars with them? You should have it for all of your lead sources, but specifically for ones that have dollars sent to it. How many deals do we have pending or closed from these lead sources? And what is my return on investment, right? We're going to be looking at that ROI, and then we're going to iterate, right? The plan is the plan until we blow up the plan, and we don't actually blow up the plan, but we do change the plan as we see results and things change, right? That's the beauty of having a plan and a business plan and then coming back to it. When we start with the business plan, we have the end in mind. Well, things change, as we know, in this world. I even hate to bring it up, but right, like nobody planned for COVID, right? So we took our business plans, we ripped them up, and we built new ones. This allows you to iterate on the success. If I find that all of a sudden, like this happened to us with Google local services, right? All of a sudden that was like a new lead pillar, and we're like, sure, let's try it out. And we were getting insanely good leads for like $40. Well, now you got to spend like $500 for a Google local service lead here in my area. It's just outrageous, right? So we planned and we like took advantage. It was nowhere on the radar. We found it. We implemented quickly. We got a ton of business out of it. Then it changed, and all of a sudden our cost for spend went way, way up. So what did we do? We iterated on our plan and we came back, right? If you are not coming back and looking at the results from your plan, then you're really not making any significant changes, and you're not like being flexible and nimble. And so that's why I say, like, you've got to come back. And even if you're not doing it, have, your assistant do it. Somebody's got to be monitoring this stuff. So basically, this is how it works, right? You know where you're going. Okay. So you start with the plan, you know where you're going, you know where you want to end up. You create as much content as you can in advance. Don't try to do it ad hoc. Plan ahead. Have those brainstorm sessions. Get together. Consume content that will inspire you, right, to where you want to go. Then once it's all created, right, and that's whether you like, if you're a solo person, that means you're going to have an hour in Canva creating all the graphics for those holiday cards and the other messages that you want to have. Well, I would also say, I didn't touch on this in the create. We use a lot of templates. So like we have a just listed template, a just sold, and under contract, multiple offers, right? Like those templates are ready to go. So we can swap out photos really easily and swap out the story and the branding. Same with our postcards. We have templates for things that really cut down on the amount of time that we're spending in the create mode. And I will say for social media, it takes about 4 hours to create the social media for a month. And then it's about 30 minutes to an hour of scheduling per month to get it out, right? And across all the platforms for the scheduling, like writing up the captions, making sure they're SEO, good with the right hashtags. All that stuff takes time. And that's why you do it in advance. And then you execute on it, right? When it's scheduled, you're going to do a much better job executing. Go back and revisit. We have a weekly marketing where we look, okay, what are we supposed to be delivering this week? What are we already supposed to get us head start on? Right? Is there anything new? Did we sign a new listing? That's going to change the marketing plan too, because we've got listings that we get signed in there and they've got their own marketing plans. Then we go back, we look at the plan, we evaluate what worked, what didn't work, and what is working, we do more of. So all I really want you guys to do from this class is, if you don't have February and March planned out, start there, right? Pick your sphere of influence, one lead source, start there and figure out, what am I doing for these people in February and March? Then do the projects that you need to get started and get the marketing rolling. Once you're good at that, add the next lead pillar, add the geographic farm, add, whatever the other lead pillar is, the social media content, right? Even before your social media content, I'd say start with your sphere of influence and then look at social media and the videos and the other content that you're going to create. So at the end of the day, I always end my classes with this quote because it's just so relevant. If you really want to find something, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And I see that so often, right? When we want to do something, we will justify and we will figure out how to make it happen. And if we're just really not that committed, we'll let things get in the way and we will find excuses. I heard a quote from, I think it was from Tom Bilyeu's podcast on procrastination. He says, when you have clarity, discipline is easy, right? It's easy when you have clarity, because clarity is like a drowning man looking for his next breath. And I thought, wow, that's absolutely true. The more clear I am on where I want to go and the results, then I don't have to worry about motivation and I don't have to worry about discipline. That clarity drives me to do what I want to do, and I don't let excuses get in the way, right? If you're drowning, your only priority is to get that next breath. You're not going to let an excuse get in the way. And so that's what I'm hoping that you guys walk away with, is now you've got a way and a map to start planning things out so that you can execute and elevate your business to the next level. So make sure you download the resources at bighelpertraining.com. If you have any follow-up questions, just DM me. I'm really good about answering them. I appreciate you guys taking an hour to be with me today on Friday. As always, take charge of your business and become a stoppable agent. You are resilient and you can do the work. Have a great weekend. Go sell some homes and be nice, people.